Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Wednesday, hump day. It's a rainy one where I am. I hope you are safe, sunny, and sanctified wherever you are. And that the week is going well for you. No complaints here, to be honest. All right, let's see what we got. I guess I'll probably just be giving disclaimers for the whole week in case you didn't catch the last two videos that these are new cards. They're a bit slippery. Give me grace. It's a new shuffle technique, more or less, that I have to do that's different from how I feel comfortable shuffling or how I prefer to shuffle. But I'm getting used to the cards and getting used to that. So please just bear with me. All right, we gonna get a message one way or another. All right. Thank you in advance. Oh, yay! Four of Wands. I love it. I'm gonna start bringing this card up a little better. Four of Wands. Beautiful card. I hope you can see it from where I have it. So the Four of Wands is balanced, harmonious partnership, establishments, home, actual home, happiness within the home. Definitely speaks to union in a very harmonious way. Even if you subscribe to the term twin flames, sacred union, divine partnership, all of that is what this card can represent in the highest vibration, right? And I'll leave it there. If it comes, always giving way to the highest vibration. As you may or may not know, that particularly how I prefer to shuffle, I almost always never get reversals. It's actually quite rare. So for me, and even if I did, whatever, but energetically, just to give you an idea of how energy channels through me, it's by way of the frequency and the vibration of the card and the message and just what's coming up for me. So sometimes an upright card can give me reversal vibes, and I express it as such if it makes sense, to my senses anyway. So all that to say is that definitely always want to give way to the highest vibration, meaning the upright of the card that is particularly high vibrational, as the Four of Wands is, for sure. You could definitely, maybe somebody's buying a new home, maybe somebody's establishing a new partnership or taking a relationship to the next level. Maybe you're decorating a home or redecorating. Sometimes I get decorating vibes with the wreath and stuff like that. Maybe you are starting to get prepared for spring decor, changing things over. It's still a little bit early, but maybe you're getting prepared, maybe buying things for the home to spruce up for spring. If you're anything like me, you're certainly looking forward to that season springing forth as soon as possible. What else? You could be selling a home, or you could be moving to a new location altogether in some new dwelling. Or there just could be something particularly satisfying about being at home right now. Maybe even starting a home-based business or something like that, or thinking about it. So those are all the potentials for the card. If you are, the upright of this card is saying that you're going to be happy, especially if it's something new on the horizon. You're going to be quite pleased with the outcome. You're going to love your decorations. Maybe the feng shui, maybe you're shifting some things around. It's going to change the vibration of your energy. If you're nervous about a move, it's going to be wonderful. You'll be glad you came or glad you went, however you want to look at it. If it's a new partnership or relationship, there seems that there's going to be a lot of fun times ahead. You guys may really look forward to spending a lot of time at home, because that's just how comfortable you are in each other's energy. You may make home base more of a sanctuary and a fun zone, and just the place to be, and maybe host others, because there are some people in the background here. Maybe your house is the host house and you have people over and things like that. As long as you're discerning about the company you keep, I think you're going to be quite pleased with that as well. Really having a good time hosting parties and get-togethers and things of that sort. And what was the other thing? Or if it's a new establishment, like a new business, working from home, or something of that nature, it's going to be supremely successful. You will be satisfied. All right, so there's that in the upright, and I never felt compelled to give all of that forwardly in the first card. So must be something for somebody to really take. Given how the winter can be, especially when we start winding down by February, it's like, you get a little worn out. If you weren't lucky enough to kind of slip out or slip to somewhere where it's warmer, or you don't live in a place where it's actually warmer, sometimes the cold and the dark can be a little bit dense, on the senses, on the spiritual senses, if nothing else. So here's to looking forward to fresh energy, new vitality, regeneration in the home and otherwise, and really making sanctuary wherever you are, or being at home, I should say, wherever you are. So cheers to all of that. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, as I say that, right? Thinking 5 of Pentacles. Maybe that's coming out of the winter blues, as I was just talking about. Hell, I ain't gonna, hold on. Let me see what else we got. I just heard something. And I gotta be mindful of me licking my thumb, because I was hearing that sound on the microphone. Well, it's not like an actual microphone, but my earpiece, and I was like, ugh, I wouldn't want to hear that every time. So I'll try to be mindful of me moistening my thumb for easy shuffling access or whatever. All right, so okay, so we got the 5 of Pentacles, and then the 8 of Cups. So somebody maybe is walking away from poverty. This is that move. Maybe that is the segue into all that I just spoke about, that there is an invitation for some movement, some transition, some transportation to some other place or space is what awaits you in the vibration of all that I just celebrated just now. It's like it's already ready made for you is what I'm hearing. It's like a surprise party, like almost you're the only thing missing. That's the type of energy I'm getting in this. And it's a transition from, this is definitely 5 of Pentacles. Pardon me, when we say like being left out in the cold, definitely can speak to the natural experience of the season, which in some places is very cold and dreary. Today is damp and rainy. Some places is actually still snowing. Shorter days, longer nights, sunsets. Now it's on the upswing, because actually the sun is setting later and later, because right about now, I'm actually tapped in a little late today, and the sun is still, it was not sunny today, but the light is still pretty bright, which is not typical in the dead of winter. So we know that we're definitely heading in the right direction. But this is someone having made a big leap of faith, I would say, with the 8 of Cups. to leave perhaps a place or environment or a situation, maybe even a relationship that wasn't satisfying, that wasn't fulfilling, but it was something that you spent a lot of time and energy investing into, maybe even money, but it's more so energy and emotional investment with the Eight of Cups, to the point where you almost kind of hate to leave it, or you hate to see it, hate to disconnect. You may have even wished for more of the experience, given all that you were willing to invest in it. And if this is a relationship, which it could absolutely be in the most practical sense, it just could be something that has run its course, that, neither people are really all that happy in the connection anymore. But with the Five of Pentacles, sometimes it gives like dependency, where two people are together, whether it be for financial stability, or like I said, just because it's comfortable even in the discomfort, for some material return, but not necessarily an emotionally sustaining one, if that makes sense. It's like they probably much rather be apart, but there's something that, for whatever reason still keeps them together. And then the Eight of Cups is like that courage of at least one person to say, you know what, I gotta go. Like, this is not gonna work for me. This is not my ideal of love, of commitment, of happiness, of even stability, because obviously the stability ain't stability in the Five of Pentacles. If you stand together for financial reasons, it doesn't seem like that's even fruitful in itself. So it's like, what's it really for if that's not even a viable return at this point? But in this case, a lot of times it could be, this could be a rich couple, quite honestly, but if you're not together for the right reasons and there's not a pure connection there, you could feel poor in spirit, if nothing else. So this is someone having the courage to move on and seek other options, see what else is out there, figure something out. And now I will say, in the adverse of all the wonderful things that I said about the Four of Wands, is that sometimes it gives a commercial couple to me, or those couples that put up the front for appearances and also for financial exchange, whether it be social media, or even just, intimately, the couple that just wants to be that couple in their neighborhood or in their community, at their church. You don't want the job to know that everything's not all good at home. Maybe some people don't even want their family to know that they married the wrong person, or the relationship has more or less expired, or whatever the case may be. Like, keeping up a united front, literally a front that it's a happy home, when behind those gates, when you get a little bit closer to the action, it's really not all that happy. So this is perhaps the reality of that experience in the lower vibration now. And maybe somebody aspiring to truly have that experience, or at least being inspired that the ideal is viable, that is something that does exist, and that is enough of a possibility to disconnect from what absolutely is not that, So that's what I'm getting for that. But let's see what's on the other side of the Eight of Cups. take that. And I'm going to put these back. Matter of fact, I'll put them under. All right. So let's see. We got the Hierophant here. Somebody's interesting. Hold on. Because it's given that somebody's leaving one situation to go into commitment or union. Ooh. I'll try to reserve my opinion about the idea of that you would leave one commitment and go straight into another, but that's kind of like what it's given a little bit. That somebody left a very unfavorable situation and is leaving with this ideal of with an idea of an ideal partnership in mind, and they already have deep commitment or serious commitment on their mind. Now, the only not provision, what's the word I want to use, concession that I could possibly give such a quick turnaround is that maybe perhaps some healing has taken place in the Eight of Cups and the inspiration for whatever that journey, because I guess it could be that, you know, in the Eight of Cups, it doesn't necessarily say how long that walk away is and what's happening between leaving one thing into another. And the inspiration clearly seems to be what would be more satisfying, you know, or sensational of a partnership or a union. So it sounds good. I'm just a little bit thoughtful of the timing, and then how I shuffled, like that card kind of pulled up. It was kind of like I lifted it up after getting nothing that legitimately even flipped over. So then it's saying that feels like it's something a bit secretive or concealed about it. Maybe they're slipping away secretly, which is then again is another kind of like pause for the cause to me, or cause for a pause to me, because it's like if somebody's trying to slip away secretly to go pursue another commitment, the question is for me, like what healing has taken place in between those experiences to make one ready to jump right into, I mean, it would literally have to be damn near miraculous, if not for some definite time that would have allowed some healing, you know, the time that heals wounds to pass before somebody is like, I'm going to go get my woman, you know, with the Hierophant card here, jumping right into something serious and structured, and this is giving marriage to me. So I don't know about that, but let's see what else we got here. Yeah, this is somebody having some expectation for what's he expecting? Well, he has very high hopes and great expectations for something, but post the 3, that's given 2 of Wands energy that would have to have preceded that. That means he has some plan or something in mind as to why it would be expected for this to be the next step. coming from such a, I don't know, a very dense and maybe even dark reality. So maybe some work has taken place, and maybe that's the secret that's unbeknownst to whomever he is going to approach, because some work has taken place and that's what's not been observed or been witnessed. But this great shift here with the Three of Wands is a certain confidence here about what someone feels they should be able, like how I'm hearing it is like, if it is what I'm saying, that somebody actually did some work and they feel like they've made some great strides away from a very dissatisfying situation. They've maybe done some soul searching, some healings, had some come to Jesus moment, all somewhere, you know, who knows where this Three of Cups ultimately led. That speaks to me in that high vibration that they feel like they're ready. You know, it's like, okay, I feel like I'm ready for whatever comes, and more importantly, I'm ready. Like that's the precursor before the Four. Like, I'm ready for this partnership. Not just expecting of it, but also almost a bit entitled to it is what it's given with the Three of Wands. Like, it's not even a question that they expect to see something come to pass or to fruition or to the shore. They are sure even about their position. Let's see. Another balance card. Equal give and take. That they can give. So somebody wasn't, well, I would guess, well, not guess, but you know what I mean. I surmise that someone wasn't in a balanced commitment before, and if it is as I say, I'm taking a lot of liberty here to fill in blanks that aren't necessarily filled in for me at this time. Maybe I'll go back and try to get some more color here. But I also get the sense that that's not supposed to necessarily, that's not the point, you know, per se. Because if somebody's showing up like I'm ready or in some type of expectation to be open and ready, then, you know, who am I to dictate otherwise, unless I'm the one that has to subscribe, you know, one way or the other. But generally, this person seems like at least they feel like they're in a position to give in an equal partnership. They are available for reciprocation that has value, not even just emotional, but to actually, I would go out on a limb and say that they feel like they're in a position to exhibit love. I'm strong on that, but under the Eight of Cups, I would say that they're in a position to exhibit, to be active in the exchange of a fair partnership, whereas it seems like they've not come from that experience. So that probably was part of the healing and transformation that needed to take place, or self-awareness, I don't know, whatever it is that needed to take place, because they didn't have that come from, or they weren't engaged in that experience. And we all know that sometimes that can take a toll on you. You may even be resistant to relationships on account of being in one that's really not all that great, and then to come out on the upswing and actually feel like, you know what, I can do this. I want, not only can I, but I want to. That there's the thing, like, I want to be in a partnership that is balanced, and I have something to offer. Let me get another one. I was just saying it. Oh wait. Oh no, yeah. At first I was like, it's so bright. I was like, oh wait, maybe it's the lovers. But I was just saying it too. I was like, in my heart, I was like, I'm waiting for this other shoe to drop. What is it? Because something is like, oh no. And I was beating myself down like, don't do that, Danae. But even as I was making concessions, as I said, like, well, it's not up to me to say. Maybe they actually are ready. Maybe they did do. But I don't know. When the devil card is coming up this way, I can't really. It's given that someone is wanting to escape a bad situation for something that they know is a better situation, and that they also know they would have to present themselves as a better match or the best match to have it or to be considered of it. So they would have to come with a great deal of confidence, which could also, even in this case, mask as a bit of an entitlement, but presenting themselves to be available to this give and take, and maybe even to some degree actually wanting to be, at least balanced enough to gain the opportunity for the relationship experience to, pretty much to get your foot in the door. But was the devil is giving me, and I'm gonna get another card, but it's just giving me that there's still some baggage here. That, as I said, it's like, what happened here? This is a quick turnaround, and I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt and not take liberty to speak on what's not seen. And this could even be in real life, because when somebody presented themselves to you today or tomorrow for a partnership, right? You can only really go off of what somebody is telling you, but of course, hopefully, what your emotional intelligence is also speaking to you, to discern whether, regardless of whether you feel they're being absolutely transparent and truthful or not, to decide whether where they are is in alignment with you, with where you are, to create this sense of balance and harmony. Otherwise, it doesn't get to be that, especially not if somebody is still harboring some fears, some trauma, maybe perhaps from their past experience. And that's best case scenario, which in the matter of just being human would be normal. I'm still making concession here because all the cards are upright. And the only one that is really kind of like, is the Five of Pentacles. And of course, the devil is always a big question mark. But in the way the story is moving, it's feeling like maybe even somebody wants to be that guy because they want to be in a partnership or in this ideal partnership. But there may be something concealed here that hasn't been quite healed, hasn't been accepted, accounted for, or just is being concealed from the naked eye, that you, like I was starting to say, that you may not be able to really see by what a person is saying, or even by what they're doing, or how chivalrous and generous they appear to be. Like, you may not know that they actually still got hella debt from that last relationship. You may not know that they are in a shaky place with their spirituality right now because of the unresolved issues that they've incurred, maybe even being a bit insecure because of what they've incurred, maybe having greater expectations for the partnership to kind of heal something for them than what they're actually willing to heal for themselves before they approach said partnership or any partnership. and maybe somebody that, you know, that could be a little bit controlling, you know, in the adverse of that card, that may be even a bit possessive of their resources. And although like they may be willing to share some things, or I don't know, they may just be looking to come up again off of that Five of Pentacles to find that balance and give and take off of what they think is already a prosperous move, like to balance out their imbalance, even financially speaking, in something that clearly is prosperous, you know, as the Four of Wands is in the best cases, you know. So yeah, then it's giving somebody that would be eager to kind of rush to the altar, so to speak, maybe literally so, maybe not. I don't know, to attachment with the Devil card to something that would be prosperous, that would either absolve them of their stresses in an energetic sense, or maybe a very material sense. And in that case, it would be caution. There would be a caution, a beware in that regard, because that would only bring balance to one side of the partnership. And that's when it would begin to be this facade of, yeah, we're both doing great, but are you really? You know, behind closed doors, will you stand the test of time? Starting in imbalance, or starting a partnership in such a way where there's something a bit off here. Yeah. So I guess maybe you might, if somebody's rushing in to proclaim their love or to present themselves and some, you know, profess their desire for partnership with you in some very direct and serious way, it would be okay to like slow it down a little bit, depending on how you feel about it, until you allow things to be unveiled across the board, not just what a person is even saying or doing, because people can keep up a facade for as long as they need to until they get where and what and who they want. However, your senses will start to be alerted, like something that went viral, and I got swept up into it too. I was kind of late to the table, of course, as always, but that Risa Tisa TikTok, Who the F Did I Marry, that series, that shit was funny. I mean, it wasn't funny like, ha ha, look at you, silly lady. It wasn't that, but I mean, her delivery of it, I mean, funny, not laughing at her, certainly, but it was so, like, astonishing that it was comical. Like, oh my God, like, I cannot believe somebody could be so deceitful for so long and commit to it so seriously, actually marry somebody, you know, like continue to tell them, I'm gonna buy you a house. And then like the story, if you know, you know, but it's a very long series. But somebody on, I don't even have TikTok, but somebody on YouTube posted the entire series, which was like 4.5 hours in one video, right? And I watched it all. Because it was like a movie. And I mean, shouts out to her for her impeccable storytelling, because it took you to every emotion. And she's like pretty monotone gal, you know, nothing too dramatic, an inflection here or there. But I guess between the content itself, but also like how she laid it out chronologically, it was so intriguing and alluring to hear this real life story of this woman just being dragged through a narcissistic, not even just narcissistic, that dude was probably a sociopath or a psychopath by some standards, by some psychological standards, that if she wasn't covered to probably be the storyteller to really like share the testimony of how these situations do exist and people like this do exist, she might not be in this world. You know, the type of person that she was describing seemed like somebody that you couldn't put anything past. You know, like he could be capable of anything, the worst of things, to lie to somebody in that way for so long. So, and that was like years. I'm struggling. I think she said 2020. It wasn't that long, actually. It was just a lot of stuff that happened in between that time. But I think it was 2020 that they got together, and then came back. I think she ended it officially. Pardon me, I want to say the top of 2023 or the middle of 2023. It definitely didn't. I don't think it was beyond 2023, mid-year. So roughly about 2-year span of somebody just really taking you through the ringer and keeping up this facade that, I mean, at points throughout her experience, she had doubts and she had concerns and made concessions, but really she was still putting stuff together even as she was telling the story, because that's just how good of an actor he actually was. And I don't even know why I'm saying all this, but I guess that's kind of the vibes it's given, is that he was supposed to be a church-going, devout man who claimed his dad was even a preacher, found out that wasn't even true. His dad was nowhere near a pastor or a preacher or whatever. But that's the image that he was carrying. So mirroring off of her being a devout Christian, and you know, she thought she was marrying a godly man and all this stuff. It was a lot. It was a whole heck of a lot. But the point is that whole time he had her thinking they were in this balanced partnership, even more than balanced, because he was paying all the bills. He was presenting himself to be the one that had like this big cash reserve for them to get this big house that they never got. They'd seen like a handful, maybe 5 to 10 houses, and he would get her hopes up, and then somehow something would happen with it. Every single time they would lose the deal or walk away from it. And the whole time, like, he was literally just playing with this woman, living out some weird ass fantasy, some ideal partnership, because come to find out, wasn't that her? Because then I watched another series about the lies he told. That one wasn't quite as engaging, but it was shorter, so I tapped into it. But I want to believe that it was that story, the first one, where it turned out that he had a damn twin, a whole twin. Lied about having sisters, never had any sisters, lied and called these other brothers like his half brothers. They was just good friends. He had 2 brothers. One of them was his older brother, and one of them was his actual twin, and he never even, twin flames, he never even told her that he had, like, that's a very important detail. Why would you leave that out of all the details? And then he, like, it's crazy. If you see it, you would be astounded. But he had staging conversations with these people on the phone every single morning for years. Like it was his morning routine to call his sister, to call his brother, to call this one, to call that one. Every single morning, he would be acting like he's having a whole conversation on the phone. And when it all came down to it, nobody except for one brother who didn't talk to him regularly, the twin actually, nobody kept communication with this dude because he was a known liar. Everybody he had pretty much burnt his bridges with everybody. But yet, in her face, he was acting like, like he was this family man connected to all his siblings, far and wide and near and far. And it was just nuts. It was nuts. And then I'm saying that to say that, come to find out, he was using her to kind of play out this fantasy, which ultimately was the reality of his twin brother's life, that he was the VP of the company, that, you know, the brother lived in this like beautiful big home, had a successful marriage with kids, you know, drove these fancy cars. It was like he pretty much absorbed his identity and was using her to live it out with, but wasn't really actively creating that life, you know? So he was living out his fantasy at her expense, you know? So I know I ain't saying this for no reason. Now that I'm saying all that I'm saying, it's like, and there was a lot of holes and missing timelines, even that she couldn't account for in the lies that he had told her. But when you're in a certain position of wanting to believe someone that's so convincing and that presents themselves to be so enamored with you and in love with you, and they're paying all the bills and they're taking care of the manly duties and being a companion for the most part, even if some things could be a little shaky here and there, sometimes you might actually forfeit or sacrifice your common sense and even your integrity to some degree, just to have the facade or the satisfaction of that ideal situation, you know? But whole time it was demonic as hell, the stuff that he was doing. And I bet you she don't even know the half of how deep he really was like frauding her is what it came down to. Like literally just psychotic behavior. So you could have all these, you know, you could have someone that's probably the point, that would go to very far lengths and still in the end, and it didn't take too long by the unveiling of her story even, it's just that she subdued and suppressed a lot of her awakenings to the truth because she wanted to believe otherwise. And she didn't want to, the first time he lied about putting an offer in on a house and like kept the lie going for a minute. And she whole time was knowing the truth because she was checking on the back end to know that not only had he not put an offer in, the house was sold. It, you know, it was sold to crazy stuff, just crazy stuff. And she still hung in there. Well, that was early in the game, you know? So I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Certainly, yeah, like, and this could either be the true nature, because obviously there was some mental issues going on. That's what I'm picking up with this card, the Five of Cups. There had to be some mental, definitely spiritual imbalance for you to be able to do somebody like that. For you to have the heart or lack thereof. And it's not like, I mean, she was the one that actually had a nice house and he moved in with her. It was like right before COVID and they met early, things sped up quickly, which I have no judgment for because I've been there, okay? So I know how fast things can go when you're just seeing freaking, I don't know, roses and gumdrops, love at first sight type of vibes. And he ended up moving in with her to quarantine in 2020. She had the nice home. She was renting, but she had a nice home, had a decent car. Single woman, she more or less was saying she was pretty much more or less living paycheck to paycheck, but she was doing all right by herself. You know, she was doing okay. And here this man come with all his baggage, and to her admission, she doesn't even remember, even at this point, who she was before she met him. Her most present memories are of who she became in the relationship, and now as a result of it, picking up the pieces. And I mean, if you ask me, her poise and even her sense of humor around it, and her objectivity and how she shared it, because she didn't really bash anybody. She just kind of told it plainly, which I greatly respected, speaks to a great deal of her character. Like, there's something very believable and honest about her spirit to me. I could be wrong, but that's what I connected with, which also kept me engaged, because it was just like, I just gotta know who would do this to such a soul. Like, why? And it's, to me, it says that, like I said, like, for her to be able to come out on the back end and speak with such grace means that she had to be a pretty amazing person going into it in the first place. And then to give the endurance and grace for what she did and not rip his damn head off. You know what I mean? It's just like real high level, high value woman type of energy. And that's exactly the prime target for, what do we call them? I think he would be an incubus. I always forget. Yeah, an incubus spirit such as this. And she got pregnant by him, but then fortunately and unfortunately, to her own admission, lost the child in a very traumatic miscarriage experience that he was like, not even all that. No, I think she said he was actually pretty supportive through that. I think she did say that. So let me not add stuff. Like, he was there for that. But he probably got off on it. That's the funny part, because she also expressed how what she surmised, and I believe this because I know this energy exists, that the reason why he would get her hyped up, not just about buying a house, but also kept promising her this new car. So they would go and test drive all these like luxury cars. And, you know, he was taking her to every lot in the city, and to the point where she got tired of test driving cars. And she came to the conclusion after the fact, of course, that he got off on the fact that he would build her up with this great expectation to receive something that he knew she was excited for. He would get her excited because she didn't even want a new car. He made her want a new car and made it make sense as to why she should have one, and insisted upon it, and insisted upon having this home that was a $750,000, like the $750,000 cap of a mortgage, that, you know, where she was just renting a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, you know. But he would inflate her expectation and inspire her with all these fantasies and enjoy deflating them, diminishing her hopes every time. Like, that was his exhilaration, you know? Like, how diabolical is that? You gotta really have some serious issues. And as I said, I believe that she was preserved to be the one to give a testimony in a way that would really speak to people. It went viral. I still see posts about it from, you know, other parties to this day on YouTube, let alone what I'm sure it did on TikTok. And it's because that message is very profound to those of us that may not believe that such predators in the spirit really do exist. That's the materialization of it, you know, and the way that it played out in her life. But it starts as something very diabolical emotionally and psychologically first. First of all, to even have the audacity, or just to have the you know, the inkling to come up with these things, but then to actually play it out, that's real. That's a real spirit out here, and it's only now being uncovered for the truth of what it is, and not only the truth of it, but also like how prevalent it is, like how rampant it truly does run. Maybe subtly in some ways more than others, and that is a very, you know, extreme expression. But I feel like that was spirit, God's self, preserving her to be able to tell that story and to be able to stretch like the good news, the gospel, far and wide, so that people could be awakened to exactly what level of predatory psychosis is alive and unwell in these streets, you know? So I don't even know, y'all. I don't know what this is. All I know is what's coming up, but maybe it's like I said from the Four of Cups. Yeah, maybe it's just, I was about to say, maybe it's just the message of caution, of awareness, a valuable one at that. You know, it seems small, and it seems, you know, maybe a bit simple, but obviously there's something powerful and valuable in it for it to be coming up this way as it is right now. That there's something to be mindful about in terms of those that want to present themselves. Because if somebody presenting themselves, like I said, it's like you going from the Five of Pentacles to marriage. Like you running off to get married. Like, well, are you sure about that? There should, now this guy, he had a whole fictitious narrative about his life. So it's kind of hard to even really say, like, really vet somebody and know where they came from before you decide to dive in, because he had all those answers covered, you know? So even more reason to say, it's like, you really got to tap in right now. You got to, because people will say anything to get into your good graces. And it is good, because as it said, people don't rob empty houses. He knew, and that's what she said. She was like, when I took him to my house, I realized that that's where I went wrong, because he was living in some like little studio type of apartment where she had a nice little situation going on for herself. And he kept telling her it was temporary because he had moved from out of state, which was a lie. And they were looking for housing for him. And that's why he was approved for this big mortgage. And it just really came down to him finding the right fit, okay? Whole time, that man ain't have no money except for the money that he was making on his present job, which wasn't a VP position. He was like a forklift operator at some condiment company. So he was like literally a blue collar worker, but he would always have, he was showing her screenshots of a bank account that ultimately was like a Google image of a Chase account with a lot of money in it, and some other account that he was fraudulently presenting. Nothing real. Saying he had all this offshore money in an offshore account. Had this fabricated document from Chase that said he was pre-approved for this $750 mortgage that was not real. So, you know, it was just like, it was always something, and it was always a lie. Like, that's the thing. He had it all figured out. So it's like, I don't even know the best suggestion or advice or offering to make right now in terms of governing yourself accordingly for the possibility of this, except for just to really tap into your own personal intuition, like she ignored for herself. Yeah, like she ignored. And oh my God, this is the nature of him, like really disturbed. Disturbed ain't the word with the Nine of Wands in reverse, like PT. And ultimately, this is all he had to rub together was a couple nickels in the grand scheme of what he was claiming he had. And needed probably to be in some institution somewhere, for real, by the way he was moving. It's like, something got to be wrong with you, sir, to do all this. It's one thing for a man to be a womanizer and they just gonna get all, or even a narcissist, like a typical textbook narcissist. It's like, well, I'm gonna get my supply where I can, and women being the ultimate supply as we can be sometimes, it's like, well, If you're going to let me suck you dry, then I'm going to suck you dry. But this is like somebody it wasn't just simply about that. It was something deeper and darker that was going on there that could have never been fixed by simply loving somebody to healing. You know, this ain't just the trauma of, oh, I was in a bad relationship, or I had a bad time growing up, or traumatic life experience that has put me in a guarded position for it. No, and I just need a little healing, a little time, a little self-reflection, a little, little Jesus, maybe even at best case scenario. I don't even think Jesus could do nothing with that, man. Jesus probably was like, bruh. I can't even deal with this shit. Like, you gonna have to do something. You gonna have to come better than this now. I mean, that story was something else. And I know he ain't the only one, though. He ain't the only one. Look at this. I'm not gonna take all these, but let's just look at this. Oh God, I can't take all this, but just look at the top. 5 of Swords, win at all costs energy, willing to do anything to get over. Let me just get a couple more, Spirit, and I'm out of here. 'Cause I don't even know what we really talk about except for what we talking about. Yeah, emotional manipulation, presented himself to be this like loving partner, doting partner, emotionally available. Whole time he was a whole psychopath. So I guess y'all just gotta be careful out there. Y'all got to be careful out there. Because it can look real good. And like I said, who doesn't want the ideal? Your ideal, whatever that is, And somebody that is just a textbook narcissist knows how to mirror to you what you want and present themselves to be the one to be able to give it to you, or that's willing to give it to you. Somebody that's definitely tipped on that other side of the spectrum, they'll go through any lengths to project a certain falsehood / reality to you. False reality, I guess I should say. And the scary part is really, I think to me, the underlying theme is really what they would do to maintain it, maybe even perhaps to you, to maintain the partnership. Thankfully, she got out of there alive, but I really do feel like people in this energy, you could never really put it past what they would. Oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. You could never be careful. Because depending on the type of crazy, and I say that loosely because mental instability is not anything to like make light of when it's in the form of those that, just really can't help themselves or do help themselves, either one of those. This is something much more diabolical. This is literally nuts. Craziness. Somebody that may even be demonically possessed. And with that, it's still, you don't become possessed by happenstance, like you choose that. So I don't have any reservation about calling somebody out their name in that regard, because there's a choice that has to be made to allow these types of frequencies to take residence in your being, and then for you to operate in that function. You had to align yourself with that frequency to begin with. And yes, it may have been gradual, because that lower demonic energy is subtle. It draws you in slowly but surely. You end up doing one thing out of the ordinary, or out of alignment, out of divine alignment, and it just snowballs into more and more and more things that you'll do to satisfy that lower nature exclusively. So I get that it's not an overnight thing, but it's still the matter of a constant choice to keep saying, like, I see the hurt that I'm causing, I see the impact, and I want to keep on doing it, to even feel gratified by it, because that's what I'm getting. This is satisfaction here with the King of Cups. He's spiritually satisfied being a vessel of darkness, causing chaos and confusion in people's lives. This is an energy that we're talking about here. I'm speaking about it as the Risa Tisa story because that is a real thing, but this very much so is too, and it exists out there. So you would have to be fine. Now, I would say not even just your Queen of Cups energy, you need to be in your King of Cups also, balancing your masculine and feminine, not because she was kind of a Queen of Cups energy, very loving, compassionate, understanding, nurturing, all that good stuff, but not very decisive and proactive and protective of her spirit. And that's what the King of Cups brings into play. Somebody that values, not to say the Queen of Cups can't be too, but there needs to be a balance of both of those energies to really take care of yourself right now before you say yes and submit yourself to anything, to be sure that you're secure in that situationship before it's a relationship. Shoot, don't even allow it to be a situationship if you know, like I know. Yeah, High Priestess, even better. Even better. Even better. And this is the energy that they would want to kill, like these types of characters, to drive you crazy, make you feel like you're just imagining things like, oh, love bomb you and gaslight you to the point where you don't even trust your own intuition, let alone your connection to source. Like they'll even more or less finesse you out of that to impose all types of guilt and shame on you internally, to make you even feel like disconnected from God, and like going to God about that's actually what happened to her to some degree, because it was her choices. Obviously I feel she takes great accountability for her part in all of it, but she had a very specific devotion to her spirituality and even her religion as a Christian woman. She didn't want to live with a man, and never had before being married. She didn't want to have a baby out of wedlock. She broke both of those points for the purpose of having partnership. That was an obstruction of her own integrity, a sacrifice of her own integrity that caused her to more or less like shift her alignment, not just between God and her supreme source, but also her supreme self that had already had these standards set in place. And then when she forfeited that, she left herself vulnerable to the attack. Had she probably kept her guards raised to say, no, we ain't shacking, we not I know quarantine is a bitch, but we just gonna have to be on phone calls and this and that. Hell, if she had upheld her standard and her statute, she probably would have found out halfway through 2020 that he wasn't shit. Like he would have made it clear, because he probably would have found somebody else to shack up with, and it would have dwindled away, and she would have been none the wiser, to his antics. However, like I said, I do feel that the way that she articulated that story was a testimony for women far and wide. If you've never been engaged in anything close to that, or if you absolutely had, because now women all over the place. I said another story popped up talking about the lies he told, which was all right. It was all right, not to diminish her expression, but it just wasn't nearly on the level and the detail as Risa Tisa. She had everything mapped out perfectly, and the suspense just like built up and pulled you in to such a degree that part of me almost felt guilty for being so engaged, because it was such a big commitment of time to watch all of that time of somebody's story. But I just couldn't look away. I couldn't tap out until I finished it all eventually, because it was so amazing, like, oh my God, I can believe, but I cannot believe that this story is real, So as I said, that's like the testimony going across the nation to let people, anyone that hears it, especially Black women, because y'all know how we could be, trying to love on our men and really trying to have the dream that we feel is it can be fleeting sometimes. It can be downright unattainable sometimes. So it feels anyway. So when you get the opportunity at your fingertips to have that ideal relationship where you can feel taken care of, you can feel secure, you can feel safe, sound like all of that, somebody loving on you, appreciating you for who you are, playing the best friend role, because that was another part of it, taking the lead on things that you finally don't have to. If you feel like you wanna fall into the arms of that fairy tale, and sometimes you sacrifice yourself to do so. And I'm not pushing this to say you should be fearful of any potential partnership, because there are a lot of wonderful sacred unions coming into alignment now, particularly in this year, maybe even in this season. But you gotta really be discerning, like if it's causing you to sacrifice any order of sanctity between yourself, what you hold most valuable and precious, and what you submit to supremely, it's a no. It's really a no. It's just straight like that. I guess when it all comes down to it, that is the answer. If it's causing you to make a sacrifice of self in any way, it shouldn't be that way. If it's not safe, secure, and sound in all of those regards. What was the 3 words that I had? To feel safe, seen, and secure. So I literally don't feel in harm's way, safe. I feel seen, meaning I'm appreciated for exactly who I am, without having to change. Of course, if anything, just being encouraged to be better, but not feeling like I have to diminish myself in any way. And then secure, with expressing the love that I have to offer without there being any blowback, or having to, rearrange that expression to kind of fit into the box of this ideal picture or ideal situation. It should be natural, If those 3 things don't exist, and you certainly can't feel safe with somebody that's a proven liar, that has shown themselves to be a liar, you can't really. She may have felt seen, but security, questionable when you're already sacrificing things that you hold valuable and being encouraged to do so by that partner. Yes, she had to make the choice, but somebody that really loves you is going to honor everything about you and isn't going to want you to sell yourself short or do anything out of order or do anything sacrilegious to your identity, or to your, what's the right word I'm looking for? Like your, what's the word? It was right on the tip of my tongue. Values, there it is, to your values. And they're going to want to make you feel like you're in the safest environment. There shouldn't be too much left to be considered or desired, or to be considered in terms of how somebody truly feels about you, and if what they're saying and how they're presenting themselves is really the truth. And she started making video diaries to express the fact that she was feeling something, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. And that's a red flag right there. There should be no room for error. Interpretation is what I really mean to say. No room for interpretation when you're in an exchange that truly is balanced and harmonious and pure and loving and sacred, all of those things. It ain't no room for error, no room for interpretation. Yeah, this was his ass manipulating, spinning all types of stories. And here was her sacrificing her independence to be finessed ultimately. No shade to her, of course not, but to draw the point home, this is not an ideal dynamic. Someone that's willing to manipulate energy to the best of their ability to benefit themselves, an ideal outcome or situation for them, while sacrificing someone else to do it. Literally keeping someone stuck in a position, like immobily so, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, to just have their way, pretty much. That's all that was, and that's all that there is with characters such as that. So I'm just submitting that we know the signs, we just ignore them. She had to admit that she knew something wasn't right. Well, when you pretty much take the stance of ignorance or resistance to what your senses, what your spirit, what energy is telling you is and is not pure, then you have no one to blame, and you have to take accountability for whatever the outcome may be. Sometimes it can feel worth it to just kind of see where it goes, to see what happens. Trust me, I can vouch for that as well. But nowadays, I feel like the reason why energy such as that are being exposed is because the stakes are too high. People are ascending to dynamic levels of spiritual wellness and even just self-awareness. That's way too much transcendence to be torn back down to pieces and to have to build yourself back up over again. You may never become whole the way that you were, but she may never. I pray that she will. If it's by my prayer, she will. She's already a better woman for what she's experienced, even as she's healing. However, she may have a bit of a road to get there. If the Lord doesn't accelerate it, by my prayer as well. And anybody that puts themselves in a position to be vulnerable in that way, willingly, it could, like I said, the death card is here, and I ain't even harp on it, but it could be much more fatal of an ending, because the stakes are higher, and because we've been upgraded spiritually to be our discernment to be magnified that much more, to be able to protect ourselves. It's not just a matter of, women's intuition or that little nudge or niggle. It's like, no, this is your shield. You need to listen to know when you feel that something ain't right, because it could be a matter of life and death. Literally, actually, life or death. So turn up the volume on that intuition, ladies, especially if you single and ready to mingle. I personally don't think it's the time to be on dating apps, because that's just a breeding ground for narcissists and shady characters and sob stories and fraudulent identities and so on and so forth. I don't care what nobody says. That was cute for a time, and you might have had some good luck at one point, but now it's too high risk, and you don't really know who you're talking to, or more importantly, why they're talking to you anymore. You may have the most supreme intentions in the world, as she did, and could be literally chatting with a demon. And certainly you could meet a demon at the bar too, or at the club, or hell, at the grocery store, for real, these days. But again, it's more about the proactiveness of protection nowadays. You can't really be passive about it anymore. You don't have to be paranoid, but you cannot be passive like, oh, we'll just see what happens. No, you will. Hopefully you'll see if your eyes are not closed permanently, okay? So certainly keep your eyes peeled intentionally while you can, while you have the luxury, the light to do so, certainly. All right, so thank you for protection, supreme source of all. We receive it, we claim it. Most importantly, we are grateful for the activation of that protection within our own very senses. Thank you for that. Let our discernment signals be on high alert, not just for what could be a potential threat, but also what could be a viable partnership, opportunity, experience, something that is forwarding and life fulfilling. Let us also be keen to sense those opportunities as well, so that we don't miss anything that is good for us in this season and beyond. And that we resist everything that is not forevermore. It is so, and so it is. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.